Okay, so we're going to look at the new HoldemFace Texas Hold'em poker calculator and analyzer tool. So to use this, I'm going to demonstrate just using a Texas Hold'em simulator game with 4 players, but you can have as many players as you like. So this can go all the way up to 12 and all the way down to 2 players. So we're starting with 4 players, but as you can see on the screen, 2 have already folded, so we'll adjust that accordingly. Now, when you play on a new game or app for the first time, you want to set the OCR capture region. So what that means is we've got 7 cards, 2 that is dealt pre-flop, then we've got another 3 that is dealt with the flop, then we've got the turn card, and then finally we've got the river card. So we need to set up the screen capture regions for those cards, and to do that you want to start the app on the same screen as your poker game or game app, and then you double click on the top card. So when I double click on that, it's going to allow me to drag a window on the region to capture, and I'll just drag a window over here on the first card. You can see it there. I'll double click again on the next card and do the same thing. So I'm going to just make sure that I get those corners as near perfect as possible without grabbing any unnecessary regions within my screen capture. So there I've got those 2. Then I'll do the same for the flop. So I know that the cards will be inside here, so I'm going to just draw my rectangle for that capture region. The same for the 4th card. We'll do the same for the 5th card. So again, I'm just making sure that I don't capture any of the additional noise that might be captured. We'll do the same for the turn card, and finally we'll do the same for the river card. So I'm just double clicking in those top cards, and that allows me to create the screen capture on the same screen. Now I'm running 2 separate screens here because I'm going to place my HoldemFace game calculator on the left screen, or my monitor number 1, and my poker game on the monitor number 2. Now since I've captured these regions for the first time, I'm going to close the app and then I'll restart it. So I'm going to restart the app. Here it is, and now we can see everything is nice and clean. Now before you can start calculating, you need to log into your license. If you don't have one, you can click here on purchase HoldemFace now for $1 per month or $12 per year. So these are annual licenses, which means it's going to cost you $12, which is nothing, but it'll last you a year. If you already have a license, you can just type in your email that you used to set up the license. I'll type in mine, and then the password that you use to log into Cumulus Gate, which is the licensing platform. You'll see all that information on the website, and you can also see it if you click here on purchase HoldemFace now. It'll take you straight through to Cumulus Gate, which is the licensing platform where you can create an account for free and then purchase the app for $12. But I've already done that, so I'm going to click on login, and you'll see it's told me that the license is active until this time next year. Okay, now when we start, you can see that we've got 2 players on the table currently, since 2 have folded. So I'm going to set this down to 2. I'm going to click on pre-flop because that's the current status of the game. So I'm going to click on pre-flop, and you can see it's now captured those regions that we identified earlier. Now the cards here at the bottom, that is what the OCR will attempt to match. So we can see we've got our first card, a 5 of diamonds. That's what it detected as. That is correct. So that's a 5 of diamonds, and the next one is a 5 of hearts, which is correct. If it wasn't, we can just use the mouse wheel to scroll here and adjust that if we need to. It'll give you a percentage value there of the confidence of the OCR, or the image detection. Since we're working with only half of the card or partial exposure of the card there, it's very rare that that'll be 100% for the first 2, but you will see as we proceed on to the flop, that'll start to look better. Now that we've got our pre-flop identified and we made sure that the cards are correct, there's a few things we can see. So we see the hand ranking. So since this is the pre-flop, it tells us the pre-flop strength. So we've got 5 out of a possible of 20 maximum, which means not the strongest hand, but okay, we'll see what happens when we turn the cards for the flop. Now at this stage, you can run the pre-flop analysis, and what this will do is it'll give you a win probability. So we can see our probability at this stage of winning is 61%, and we can see here different hand type probability. So we've got the option here for, or the possibility for a 1 pair, a 2 pair, 3 of a kind, a straight, flush, and a full house, and a 4 of a kind. The others obviously has got 0 possibility. So we've got a reasonable probability of 2 pairs here, since we've already got 2 5s there. So let's click on call and see what happens. So now we wait, we can see, okay, the other player is checking, and then we've got the flop. So if we now click on flop here, it's going to grab those cards. We've got a queen of spades, a 10 of hearts, and a 2 of diamonds. And you can see the OCR image mapping or matching is working, and it's detecting the correct cards. Now that that's done, we click on the run flop. So that button name will change depending on what is selected here. So now we're running the flop, and we can see our win probability is now dropped down to 56%, and we can see the hand type probability. So since there are no bets on the table or nothing has been raised, we don't need to call. We can just check. It's not costing us anything at this stage, so it's okay. We'll just check and we'll see what happens next. As soon as the turn card is placed, we can click on turn here. We can see it's an ace of spades that's been captured, and it's an ace of spades that's been matched through the OCR. And again, we now press the button to run the turn. Now, before the analysis finishes, it'll show you a value here at the top. So it'll show you your ranking, what you've got. I've got a pair of 5s, and it'll give you a number. The lower this number is, the higher your probability of winning. And of course, that is read in correlation with what we've got here, the winning percentage. So currently it's pretty much a 50-50 split. And then of course the hand type probabilities. Now, if this number here next to the ranking is very low, you'll most likely see a very high probability of winning the round. So we'll just click on call again, and then let's see what happens. So we've got a 10 there. That's the river card. So we can see it's a 10 of diamonds. If I click on that, it's going to show me a 10 of diamonds. We can now see that we've got 10s and 5s. We've got a rating there. And if we run the analysis on the river, without knowing what the other card or player is holding, we can see we've got a 61% chance of winning, which is good enough for me. So we're going to go and bet, and we'll place a bet of 1,000 there and see what happens. Remember, it's not a guarantee we'll win. You know, either the player could have had better cards or they'll choose to fold, but we can use this analysis to give us a little bit of a competitive advantage. When the round is finished, we click on reset, and we want to set that back to 4 players now. We can see that 1 player is folded, so I'll go again and set that to 3. We want to detect the pre-flop cards. We've got an ace of spades and a 2 of clubs. So ace of spades, 2 of clubs, it detects that pretty well. We've got a pre-flop strength of 10 out of 20, which is not bad. We've got 3 players, and let's run the pre-flop analysis. So we can see when we run that, it's doing 10,000 simulations, telling us we've got pretty much a equal split across the board. So we'll run the next round. We can see 1 player is folded, so we'll bring this down to 2 players. And we can see the flop has been dealt, so we'll click on the flop button. So we've got a king of hearts, a king of spades, and a queen of clubs. So that all matches up pretty nicely. You can see the percentage values here showing us the confidence of the matching. We can see we've got a pair of kings. That's because there's a pair of kings, and we've got an ace there. So not looking that great. Let's see what happens if we continue. So let's run the flop analysis, and then we should see we've got a 60% chance of winning, more or less, and player 2 47%. I know these don't always add up exactly to 100%. This is just the way the analysis works, but it is indicative. So we've got a 60% chance of winning. The other player has got a 47% chance of winning. So you kind of have to take that with a pinch of salt. It's an indicator. It's not an exact science, of course. So, okay, now we can see we've got the turn card, which is also a queen. So we'll plug that in. We'll click on turn here, picks it up as a queen of diamonds. We'll choose to run the turn. We can see we've got kings and queens here. Our odds of winning is now up to 80%. So what I'll do now is I'll go and I'll bet a little bit. Let's put that at 250, and let's see what happens. The other player is folded, so that means we win the round. Okay, now we set this back again to 4 players. We can click on the pre-flop, so we've got a 2 of spades and an 8 of diamonds, so we can see that maps correctly. It's always very important to check. It doesn't always do it 100%. We've got a pretty weak hand, but that's okay because it depends on what's happening with the flop, of course. So this is all statistically speaking. So my odds are not looking good pre-flop, but let's see what happens once we enter the flop. So we can see we're going around the table, still 4 players. And now we'll have the flop. I'm going to click on the button and it's busy identifying those cards, and we can see we've got a pair of fives, obviously because there's two on the table. We can see that the call value is now 2,400. If we reduce this to 3, since Stewie here has folded, and we run the flop analysis, we can see now that our chance of winning this is pretty grim. So at this stage I'm going to fold, and let's see what would have happened. So we've got an ace there. That wouldn't have helped us. The only thing that would have helped us here is a 2 or an 8. Those two keep going, fold, and now we're not going to know what the last card was, but that's all right. So we're going to reset. It's a new round, so we reset this again, and we can click on pre-flop while we're waiting, and we set that back to 4 players. So we've got a 5 of hearts, and we've got a queen of diamonds, and it's picking that up pretty well. Everybody's folded, which means the game is over, so we reset again. Okay, pre-flop, ace of diamonds, 6 of clubs. It didn't pick up the 6 of clubs properly, as you can see there, so we just need to adjust it here to make sure that it does represent what we have on the table. So I'm going to click on run the pre-flop. We've got a decent hand. We've got a slight advantage here in terms of the probability of winning at this early stage. So we will go into the game. We'll run the flop here since it's on the table. We can see we've got a 9 and a 7 of hearts and a jack of clubs, so that all matches up, and we can run the flop. We've still got all 4 players on the table, so we run the flop. We don't have anything. We can see from the ranking we've got nothing. Our probability of winning anything here is looking pretty grim at the moment, but that's okay. We didn't have to bet anything, so we can continue playing. If someone does raise, like this person, 2,400, I will fold at this stage, and we'll reset and wait for the next round. Now, again, this is not a 100% guarantee, but it does give you a really good advantage. I've been testing this time and time again, and every time I win the table. Albeit this is a simulation, but it is looking pretty good. I'll be testing this in a real poker game really soon. So we can see at this stage we wouldn't have won anything. So it was a pretty good idea to fold at the time when we did. This kind of helps me to learn the game as well, because I don't always know all the rankings and what they mean and how they work, but this will pick it up automatically for you and show your hand ranking there as soon as you identify your cards. So, new round. Let's click on pre-flop. We've got a 6 and a 4 of clubs. Let's see if it identifies those. So we've got a 6 of clubs and a 4 of clubs. That's it. We've got 3 players because 1 dropped out, and we can run the pre-flop. Pretty weak hand at this stage, but that's okay. I'll call in the meantime. We can see it's a pretty even split at the moment, so another one has dropped out, which means we've got 2 people playing. We'll run the flop here. We can see we've got an 8 and a 3 and a 2 of hearts. 8, 3, 2 of hearts. That all looks good, and we will run the flop and see what happens. Obviously we don't have much. We've got an 8 high. We'll click on check since we don't have to put in any money at this stage. We've got a low probability of winning this one, but let's see. So here we go. So we've got the queen there. We can see that now there has been a raise of $1,400. Our probability is looking really weak, so I'm gonna fold once again. Alright, we're going to choose pre-flop. We've got a queen and a jack there, so queen of hearts, jack of diamonds. We can see that's been picked up. We've got 4 players, so we're going to run the pre-flop, and while that's analyzing we will enter the game. So we've got a slight advantage. 1 has dropped out, so we'll change this to 3. Another one's dropped out, change this to 2. We can see the flop's been dealt, so we've got a 9 and an 8 of clubs there, and we've got a 6 of diamonds, so that looks correct. And let's run the flop here to see the analysis. This value already tells me before the analysis there, it's not looking too great. That number is high. The lower it is, the better our odds. We can see here we've got a 46% chance of winning this round. We don't have to put in any money, so we'll keep on playing. Let's play the turn. So we've got a 9 of hearts there. It picks it up. We can run the turn analysis. That's coming down a bit, that number, and our odds increasing a bit, but also for player 2. So since we don't have to put in any more money, let's check and see what happens on the river card. So we've got a river there. It's not really helping us much. This one is going all in. Let's see, so that's a 6 and a 6. Oh, something here is wrong. You see, when it's blank, it means that something here is not right. So somewhere we've got a duplication of cards. So we've got a 6 of clubs there, and we've got a 6 of clubs here. That's obviously not right. That should be a 6 of diamonds. So there's the 6 of diamonds fixed up, and if we run the river again, that should fix it up for us now. So unless I broke it again. Oops, I did the wrong one. Sorry about that. So let me go 8 of clubs, and here we've got a 6 of diamonds. There we've got a 6 of clubs, 9 of hearts, jack, queen, queen. Let's run it again. Okay, so we can see we've got a pretty low chance of winning this one. I'm not going to go all in. We will fold. Okay, next round. Let's see what happens. So we're back to 4 players. We've got the pre-flop there. So let's see, we've got a 3. We've got a 3 of spades, and we've got a queen of clubs. We've got everybody folded, so that means we get to reset. We've got a 4 and a 2, so 4 of diamonds and a 2 of clubs. 4 diamonds, 2 of clubs. There we go. 1 fold, 2 fold. We'll call the 500, even though we don't have a great hand. This person is betting. Our probability is pretty grim, so I'm going to fold. Alright, let's go. We've got a 10 of clubs and an 8 of spades. We can see that matches up. We've got 4 players, and we'll run the pre-flop here, and we'll call 4,000. The minimum bet has been raised, I see. We've got 1 fold. Someone is all in. We've got another fold. We can run the pre-flop. We've got a 50-50 chance of winning. That is tight. Let's call, just for fun. Normally I wouldn't, but let's go for it. Okay, let's run the flop. And we split the pot. That was lucky. And our chances were 50-50. How cool is that? This is looking pretty good. So we've got 2 aces on the table. So we've got an ace of spades and an ace of clubs. We've got a really strong hand. We will play it safe for now, or sneaky for now. So we've got 2 folds. Let's see if we can push this up a little bit. If we go in too high too quickly, we might scare off the other person. So we've got the flop. Let's see what we've got there. So we've got a jack of clubs, a 6 of diamonds, and a 7 of hearts. We run the flop. We kind of know that we have a good hand. We've got 84% chance of winning, so let's bet something. Let's make a minimum bet just not to scare off this other player. That's good. We'll now get the turn card, so let's play that. So we've got a 2 of diamonds. We can run the turn analysis again. We can see we've got a pair of aces. We've got a pretty good chance to win. I'll bet again. We'll put another 2,000 in there. I'm being called on that. Oh, this is really good. So we've got 3 aces. You can see already it says 3 aces there. We're pretty good. I don't even think we have to run this, but let's just see. So let's bet. And let's go a little bit higher. We've got a 95% chance of winning, and we won the pot anyway, obviously. Okay. So there we go. So now we've got a 10 and a 7. We've got 4 players again. So 10 of diamonds, 7 of hearts, 10 of diamonds, 7 of hearts. I need, to always check. We've got 4 players. We run the pre-flop. It's not the greatest hand, but we'll go in anyway. We've got 1 folding and someone raising. Let's run the pre-flop again. see what we've got here. That's an equal split. We'll call. Alright, and then let's run it. So we already got 2 7s there and 2 10s, so it's looking pretty good for us. So 7 7, queen queen, 10 10 of the same kind. Let's see, we've got 3 players. Let's run it. It already tells us we've got 10s and 7s. We've got a pretty good rating here. We've got a 76% chance of winning this one, so I think we'll go in with a bit of a bet. We've got a fold and we've got another fold. Okay, good, we win that one. Reset. Again, we run the pre-flop, so 2 and 4. 2 of diamonds, 4 of clubs, picks it up pretty well. That's looking good. Weak hand, but that's alright. We've lost a player, so we've 3, we lost another one, so we're down to 2. We do a check, we run the pre-flop analysis just to see. Not that it's going to make much difference anyway. We've got a low probability of winning on the pre-flop, but let's see. We've got a jack, 8, 7. That's all matching up. The value there is quite high, which means it's not looking great for us, but if we run the analysis we can see more detail. So we've got a pretty low chance of winning this one. That can of course change, so I'm going to check. I'm not going to bet more. That can of course change. I mean, another card could pop up here that could help us, but it hasn't, and this player is raising it, so I'm going to fold because it's not going to help us much to go in at such low probabilities. Okay, next round. So we've got an ace of hearts and a queen of spades. So let's make sure it picks it up. Ace of hearts, queen of spades, that's looking good. We've got 4 players and we'll run the pre-flop. It's a pretty strong hand. I mean, it's 11 out of 20, but it's still pretty good. Right, then we go for the flop. So we've got queens there. You'll see as soon as this the text that it tells us we've got a pair of queens, we can see everything matches up pretty well. And we can run the analysis on the flop. Since we don't have to bet anything, well, we've got a real good advantage there. But let's go and check. We'll push this up a little bit and try and see if we don't get anyone folding. We can see a bet of 4,000 there. Someone is all in. We're going to play because we've got a pretty good probability there. So let's call that. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's going to be a big one. Someone has folded. We've got a 6 there, which doesn't really help. 6 of spades. Let's run this again. We can see now from the simulation, we've got a 75% chance of winning. What I'll do at this stage to make sure we get everything that's in that pot is I'm going to go all in. So that's working out pretty good for us. We've got, as you can see there, an ace. And we've won the pot. Right? That's pretty good. So let's reset. The key here is patience. So you keep on playing, making small wins, taking some losses, but overall continuously gaining momentum and building on your winnings. So we've got an ace of clubs, clubs and a 10 of clubs there. We've got 3 players, someone has busted out, so we can run the pre-flop. Pretty strong hand, we'll call that anyway. And we can see we've got already a slight advantage here even at the pre-flop stage. So we will call. And then we see someone has folded, so we'll adjust our number of players. We'll get the flop, so we've got a 9 of spades, a 6 of clubs, and a jack of hearts. So once that's been identified, we can see it matches up. We'll run the flop here, analysis, and not looking great. We've got a slight advantage. Let's call. 6 there, it's not looking great. This one's going all in. We're not going to do that. We can see if we run this that our numbers are not looking that great. We have a very slight advantage, but going all in on that doesn't make a lot of sense, so we'll fold. Okay, and then we will do the same for the next round. So we've got a pair of 8s there, which is a good start. We're 3 players again. Someone has gone all in. We will run the pre-flop. Sorry, that's wrong. These are a pair of 8s. There we go. So we'll do that again. Run the pre-flop. We can see we're looking reasonably good here, so let's check. Oh, all in because this person is low on funds, that's why. Let's run the flop here. So we've got triple 8s. We can see as soon as this detects the card, it's going to tell us 3 8s. We've got a pretty good score. If we now look at that and we run the flop analysis, we can see that's numbers getting lower. We've got a 95% chance of winning. So we're going to call. We get a 10, so let's run that. 10 of diamonds. And let's run the turn. We've got a 93% chance of winning. Let's try and get this one in. I'm going to go all in. That one's folding. We're going to win anyway. Nice one. Okay, so we've got 2 players left. We can run the pre-flop, so we've got a jack of spades and a 5 of hearts. We're only 2 players now, so the rules here in the game change a little bit. It's going to go a lot faster, which makes it a bit difficult to keep up, but that's fine. We'll just call, so yeah, 50-50 split more or less. Betting already this early in, I'm not so confident about that. I'm going to fold. We'll bet when we're ready. Okay, pre-flop 10 and 9. So let's see, 10 and 9. It's picking up the correct cards. Let's run the pre-flop. We've got a 50-50 split. Let's just play it. Alright, let's run the flop. So we've got 2 10s there already. Let's see, so we've got 6 6 ace ace 10 10. That's looking good. Let's run the flop. We've got a pretty big chance of winning, so we will call. We will run the turn. We've got a good chance of winning. It's not 90%, but it's pretty high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all in. That one folded. So we're getting closer. Alright, let's go pre-flop. So we've got a queen of spades, a queen of clubs and a king of spades. That looks good. So let's run the pre-flop. We'll call while we're waiting for the analysis. We've got a good hand here. Alright, that's looking good for us. So we will run the flop. We can see the cards have matched up. We can run the analysis on that, and maybe let's put in a bet here. So we'll just place this up a little bit. There we go. See what happens. Okay, that's what we want. Turn, so we've got a 2 of diamonds there. If we run this, so we've got queens and deuces. We can say, let's bet again. This person only has 400 left, so we'll bet everything. Fold. Okay, we've almost got this one. It's pretty much the end now. So jack and 8. They have to go all in because there's no money left. And we'll probably win this one. There we go. I've tried this so many times, running this calculator and just following the rule of not overplaying it, and every time I do, I win. So this must now have been the 20th time that I play, and every time I end up winning. Now, albeit this is not the most advanced and complex poker game in the world, but it does use pretty decent algorithms. The point is, using the HoldemFace calculator, it works. So all you need to do is to sign up for it. You can activate a trial license for 7 days. If you want to buy it, it's only going to cost you $12, so $1 a month, so $12 a year. It's pretty simple to use, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and good luck.